August 1942. The German army, unstoppable, ruthless, and marching further east. One town after another falls. Whole nations collapse under the Nazi war machine. And now, Adolf Hitler sets his eyes on one city. A city carrying the name of his greatest enemy, Joseph Stalin. The city of Stalingrad. But this will not just be another battle. It will be a nightmare, a frozen hell on earth. A fight so brutal and so endless, it will decide the future of the entire Second World War. In June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the biggest invasion in history. 3 million German soldiers stormed into the Soviet Union. Stalin's Red Army was unprepared and poorly organized. They collapsed within months. The Nazis had taken huge Soviet lands, captured millions of prisoners, and stood at the gate of Moscow. But the Soviets did not fall. Winter came, the German advance froze in the snow, and Stalin, with his iron grip, ordered his army to fight to the last drop of blood. Moscow was saved, just barely. Now in 1942, Hitler wanted more than survival. He wanted a final victory. His plan was daring. Push deep into southern Russia. Capture the oil fields of the Caucasus and cut off Soviet industry along the Volga River. And at the center of this plan stood one city, Stalingrad. In the hot summer of July 1942, the German 6th Army, led by General Friedrich Paulus, began marching towards Stalingrad. Above them, German bombers filled the sky. Ahead lay the Volga River, a lifeline carrying supplies for the Soviets. For Hitler, taking Stalingrad was not just military strategy. It was personal. To capture a city named after Stalin would be a huge propaganda victory. But Stalin gave a harsh order. Not one step back. Retreat was forbidden. Any soldier who tried to flee would be shot. The Red Army would either hold the city or die there. On the 23rd of August, hundreds of German bombers filled the skies. In just a few hours, Stalingrad was turned into rubble and flames. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed. The Volga River itself glowed red with fire and blood. But the destruction gave the Soviets something unexpected. Protection. Ruined buildings became hiding places. Cellars turned into bunkers. Factories became fortresses. The Germans thought they would crush resistance within days. Instead, they walked straight into the deadly maze. They called it Rat and Krieg, the war of rats, house by house, room by room, basement by basement. Every meter of Stalingrad became a battleground. Soviet snipers like Vasily Zaitsev hid in the shadows, killing hundreds of Germans in just weeks. The German army, trained for fast-moving blitzkrieg and open battles, was dragged into savage hand-to-hand fighting. Flamethrowers rode in staircases. Grenades exploded in sewers. Knives and bayonets clashed in the dark. In one factory, a single machine room changed hands 14 times in one day. The front line was no longer miles wide. Sometimes it was just one wall. For the civilians trapped inside, life was pure horror. Families hid in the basements, starving and freezing, while bombs fell all around them. Corpses lay frozen in the streets. The Olga River, the only supply route, had to be crossed at night under constant German fire. Every day, Stalin sent reinforcements. Many were young boys with little or no training. Most never even made it off the boats. And still, the Soviets endured. By November 1942, most of the city was in German hands. General Paulus believed victory was near, but the Soviets were preparing something bigger. In the icy steppe, north and south of Stalingrad, the Red Army secretly gathered entire armies. On the 19th of November, they struck with Operation Uranus. Thousands of artillery guns opened fire. Soviet tanks charged in waves. But they didn't hit the city. Instead, they smashed into the weaker Romanian and Italian division guarding the German side. Within days, the German 6th Army, 300,000 men, was surrounded, trapped inside the ruins of Stalingrad. Hitler gave one order: hold your ground, surrender is forbidden. He shouted, the 6th Army will fight where it stands. The German Air Force promised to supply them by air, but it was impossible. Only a small fraction of food and ammunition ever reached the starving soldiers. Bullets ran out, horses were killed and eaten. Frostbite claimed thousands. The once mighty 6th Army was slowly dying. In December, Field Marshal Erich von Manstein tried to rescue them. His tanks pushed to within 30 miles of Stalingrad. General Paulus begged for permission to break out and join him. Hitler refused. Stand fast, the order repeated. The chance was gone. The 6th Army was finished. In January 1943, the Soviets launched their final assault. The frozen, starving remains of German army hid in the cellars and ruins. On the 31st January, Paulus promoted to Field Marshal by Hitler, hoping he would never surrender, finally gave up. 2 days later, the last German soldiers laid down their arms. Out of 300,000 men, only 90,000 were captured alive, and of those, only a few thousand ever returned home. The rest died in Soviet prison camps. Stalingrad was more than just a battle. It was the turning point of the war. For the first time, The Nazi war machine had been completely broken. The Soviets had not only defended their city, they had destroyed an entire German army. The myth of Hitler's invincibility was gone, and from the frozen ruins of Stalingrad, the Red Army began its long, bloody march west all the way to Berlin. The Battle of Stalingrad lasted 200 days. Nearly 2 million people were killed, wounded, or captured. It was one of the bloodiest battles in history. It was not won by generals alone, but by ordinary men and women, soldiers and civilians who refused to surrender, even when the city itself was nothing but ruins. Hitler wanted to erase Stalingrad from the map. Instead, it became a place where his dream of conquest began to die. A city that refused to fall. A battle that changed the world. And that was the Battle of Stalingrad. A fight that turned the tide of history. But here is the question. Was it truly the moment that sealed Hitler's fate, or just the beginning of an even darker storm? Stay curious, stay safe. This is the Unseen Mic. No face, just facts.